Hello and welcome to the Real Life Alexa channel. I am Alexa, this is Real Life, and we are now on attempt 3 to get this right because Kane has messed up the last two. Now, I probably could have posted them. The last one, I was just laughing too hard, and the camera gets a little funny because he's a black cat. When he's so dark, the camera has to adjust to get his features, and then I look completely just washed out. And I look a little bit washed out today and weird anyway, so. But it got worse. It was just, couldn't even see my features. So I've restarted. I read a quote past couple days, yesterday, today, I don't know. And it sort of triggered thinking about a book I read. I think the first time I read it was 7, maybe 8 years ago. And the quote is attributed to Theodore Roosevelt, and it says, "If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month." If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your troubles, you wouldn't sit for a month. So this quote is saying that the person who is most responsible for your troubles in your life is you. It's all of us. All of us are our own worst enemies in certain ways, in many ways. The book that I read is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I will find a link to it with the author and everything and leave that in the description when I post this. And I've been thinking about this. I think that there's so many quotes on the internet, and at any given time, something is going to resonate with us, and we're going to think, oh, yeah, that's true. But none of them capture everything. So this quote at least says most of your troubles. Now, we could argue there are people who are not responsible for most of their troubles in their life. I think that being born into certain situations, certain countries, certain eras, it makes a big difference in what you have to work with. But the way we approach life and the way we think about things, that is on us. A few months ago, I don't know what I was watching, video, short, TikTok, something. This person was recounting a story of being at the DMV, and the lady at the DMV, I think it was, they were just having the worst day, and they were kind of making up rules that were not, essentially they didn't want to help this person, and they were just gonna say, even though you're here like an hour before the time, we're not going to do this for you. And so he called the headquarters, and because it was a field office, and anyway, his key point was that he could have let this person's attitude, this employee's attitude, make his day worse. That he could have got angry, he could have got frustrated, he could have had a bad day after it. And instead, he was like, I'm not going to let them bother me. I'm going to choose that I'm going to be calm, and I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to have a good day. And really just sort of, he said a couple of incendiary things, and he even said these are going to be incendiary, difficult to hear. Some people are going to find this difficult. He said, when you say you're triggered, and I'm super paraphrasing this, so please let me get through it. When you say you're triggered, you're giving yourself an excuse to act badly or do something or whatever. You're giving away your power, that no one can actually trigger you because you're in control of yourself and you choose what you do and how you do it. I do think that the word triggered, like many things, like every quote on the internet, certain words have become overused, oversimplified, and for example, I've seen things trying to explain gaslighting, and no. Someone disagreeing with you on their experience of a situation is not them gaslighting you. It's what their experience was, what their perception was. And we all have different perceptions. Eyewitnesses of like events on a public street, they all have discrepancies in what they actually saw and what actually happened per what they saw. It's incredible how when we focus on one area of a video, we can miss something happening in another area. It's very easy for things to be missed. I mean, this is how magicians do it. They get your attention to one area and something else is happening in another area. So that doesn't mean that the true sort of meaning of what a trigger is, that it is something you cannot control, isn't actually true. I struggle with something called misophonia, and I think they've split it out. So now if you have the same reaction for a visual cue versus an auditory one, they have a different name for it. But to me, it's all part and parcel of the exact same thing. And I cannot control the physiological response that happens when I hear certain sounds or see certain things. I can't. Have you tried to stop yourself getting goosebumps when you're getting goosebumps, right? It's just something that happens. But I started thinking about it in another sense. I can't control that trigger that does this physiological thing to me. But over the course of my life, I have had the most exquisite control in choosing how I react in many situations. Not every situation, because the more tired I am, the harder it is to cope, just like with any of it. Whenever we're tired, it's much harder to cope with things that are, annoying or frustrating or not the way we want them. But in so many situations, I have been able to, no one around me would know that I'm not happy with something that's going on. And not happy is putting it very, very lightly. And there have been times when I've been less able to cope and less able to choose how I react. And I wanted to do better in those situations. So I think that was where I started trying to find the right language to explain it. So people going around saying this person's bad attitude triggered me and now I'm going to be mad at them and yell at you and everyone better watch out because I'm in a bad mood now. No, now you're choosing to be in a bad mood. Right? And we've all done that. We've all had those days where we're like that. But when we bring it back to this book and then this quote, if we are the people who are most responsible for where we are and the troubles that we're going through, I think it comes down to this distinction between there's those external things that affect us, and we might not be able to control how they affect us in certain ways. But once they've affected us, there's that line where we now can choose how we react and how we go forwards. And the idea of this book, this What Got You Here Won't Get You There, it's one that's helping people. It's really geared towards professional life in your work. And when we get promoted or have some sort of success, we attribute everything that we have done before as a factor to that success. And so we have to keep doing it because then it'll bring us more success. In reality, and this is true of every person out there, I don't care who you are, it's true of everyone, there are things that we do that have kept us from being successful sooner. So if we were able to fix those things, we could get our next success even faster. And it's very difficult to admit that certain things that we do are holding ourselves back. I look around. I'm always trying to look for similarities, situations I can learn from, situations I can see if someone else has been in that situation, what they did, and how can I do it. If they did it, if they got out of the situation, can I follow them? If they're stuck in it still, how can I do something different what they're doing? And I do that just in general. I mean, like, I think a lot of us do that. Just our friends, our family, our coworkers, things on the TV. We just look at things and we're always taking in information and we're always sort of processing it. There's this concept of being comfortable. You have to be, and I notice this a lot. People will complain about their jobs, but they won't do anything to get out of it. And I've been there. I've done that before. Absolutely. I've had several jobs over the years, but how do you get forwards? Because you're comfortable. And the thing is that you know what your struggles are, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a place you live, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's like my car. I have my car, right? It has issues, and it's an older car. It's gonna have issues, but I know what the issues are with that car. If I were to buy a new car, I would not know anything about it really. I wouldn't know all of the little quirks and the little things that you do. So I'm comfortable with my car. Or you're comfortable in a relationship and you're comfortable in a job. You're comfortable in all of these aspects, right? And it's almost easier to deal with the things that you've got. And we also get into habits. We get into habits of saying that, well, this is me. I'm this person with this car that has an issue. That's who I am because I don't have a good car. And we get used to telling ourselves, whatever it is, whatever situation you're in, you get used to telling yourself that I'm this person and this is what I have and this is what I do. And changing challenges that self-perception. If I got a different car, well, now I have a different car and I'm a different person because I've got a different car. And our minds can see, and this is the car situation is a very simple analogy. It's not, getting a really different job, changing careers, changing your getting a different relationship, whatever. Those are bigger than getting a car, but I think that it's a simple enough analogy that hopefully it makes sense as I talk it through. If you think about the people in your life and the cars they drive, there are huge, huge swaths of people who are, I am only ever buying this brand of car. Don't care what brand you want to choose. There are people who will only buy that brand because they are this driver. Okay. I mean, Ford, Chevy, Jeep, Toyota, whatever brand you want to choose, there's people, and you probably know someone who has a car and they're like, this is the best brand and you have to go and buy this brand and everyone should buy this brand and I'm only ever going to buy this brand. If their quality of those vehicles, whatever one they're driving, isn't doing so well, it's very challenging to then go and choose a different brand. I have only had one brand, though, to be fair. I lived in a city and didn't have a car for many years. Didn't need one. I have one. But am I going to buy a different brand when I go get another one? I don't know. What does your car brand say about you? Marketing is really crazy because they try to make you think that if you buy that brand of car, you are now seen as this image that's in all their commercials, and like you see yourself as that image too. So it's very difficult to get outside of our comfort zones and to change things. But changing things can absolutely help us. And changing things is as simple as learning new stuff. And then the key is putting that stuff into action. So a very simple one that I have been very much working on over the past several years is the style of communication that I use in emails, in meetings and so on and so forth. I'm a very free stream of consciousness kind of thinking. My brain moves extremely quickly. I will talk. I've tried to make sure that I am, first of all, not going on too long. I know you're not going to believe that considering my videos, but in meetings, I try to make sure I say my key points and then I stop. In my emails, if there is a question, I make sure that the key thing I need answered by the person I'm emailing is the first thing I write. I need you to look at this and tell me this. Here's the additional information that you might need below, right? Make sure I put it in a more organized format. And I've seen a lot of results from that. I've seen people responding in different ways. I've seen people picking up on the way I speak and the way I am intentionally formatting the things I say and do, and responding in a similar way, saying, wow, this got to the point. Let's do it. Like, this is good. Let's keep it moving. Let's participate in that, which is really nice. And all thanks to the people that I have had mentor me and the books that I have read. Things like TED Talks. I think that communication is the key to life. Nothing else matters if you cannot convey a point to another person, right? Even in a primitive way, in a simplistic way, if you cannot convey a point, there's going to be there's going to be issues. And we're humans, we're complex. Communication is complex. So it does get very confusing. I highly recommend taking a few deep breaths, sitting down in a quiet place, and really thinking about what you do well and what you think you could do better. And not in a way that is to say, look at how bad I am. Oh, I'm so terrible and I can't do this and I'm such a failure. We can very easily get into that habit, that tone of voice in our own heads, talking about ourselves. I think most of us are absolutely the meanest to ourselves. It's okay for other people to make a mistake, but I can't. I have to be perfect. And if not, I'm a terrible person and I am the world's worst. You know, like, I think a lot of us, especially people who have suffered trauma from parents as children, with parents who essentially made you think you were the worst person in the world because you left a shoe out of place or something. It can be hard to overcome those thoughts. But stop them when they start. Say, nope, that is an emotional reaction. I am only writing down the facts. And then on the things you wish to do better, make a plan. What is one thing you could do this week to learn something more about that topic? For example, with communication, there are TED Talks. You could go watch a couple TED Talks. There are books out there. Again, I'll put this What Got You Here Won't Get You There book in the chat. I have a book on communication. I think that the authors of that book, which is, I'm not going to say the name of it, I think they could have taken their own advice and made that book half the size it is. And I think they spend the half of the book that I think they could cut out, I think they spend it basically congratulating themselves about how amazing they are. And it's absolutely just like, it's not needed. It almost made me stop reading the book, but I stuck to it and I took out the key points that actually work and are important. And maybe one day I will share it. But for today, I won't. I think that the other book is a good one to start with. And just try. That's the only thing we can do, is we can try. So I hope that your week has gone well. Kane is sleeping right here. He's right here. He's a very big cat. His eye is looking better. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. May it continue. If it keeps looking the way it's looking, I don't think he needs to go in next Friday, but we'll I'm not deciding today. I did notice something in his eye. I don't know if I just said this before, but I noticed something. It's literally right underneath his eyelid, right where it touches his eyeball. And I cannot tell if it's just like a little sty, if there's a hair growing the wrong way. I can't tell, but I think what's happening is when he gets allergies and his eye itches and he's rubbing at his eye with his paw, I'm wondering if that is what has been abrasive, because it's not the smooth it should be. So if this issue comes back, or if it doesn't heal this week, we'll obviously take him in. But if it comes back again, then I think I'm just going to go straight to the vet and be like, listen, you got to do something and you've got to check out this thing, because I'm really sure that that's probably what's irritating his eye when he's rubbing it. I have been able to get allergy meds into him. Benadryl is a no-go. Neither of my cats will let me even like within 3 feet of them with that. They hate it. But I was told I could use a different one. So that is helping when it's a really bad allergy day. I've noticed he sneezes and rubs his eyes on days when I'm really, really itchy. My nose goes, my eyes go. So if I'm taking one, he gets one too. And that is good. He's so special. He's so special. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have pets, and your pets are just as special. It's how special they are to us individually that is the key. Right, Bubba? Yeah, I'm talking about you. He just yawned at me, which is cat language for mom, don't be intimidated by me or something. I don't know. You can go look that up. Why do cats yawn at people? Anyway, let me know what is something big or small that you know you could do better with, and you think if you did better, what is something you want to try? How will you try to learn something about that topic, right? You get a library book, you can watch videos, you can, TED Talks, whatever. Talk to people around you. Talk to people who do really well with that skill. How did they learn it? And sometimes some people are just better at things naturally, but a lot of people work at things, and we just don't see the hard work they put in behind the scenes. So, as always, drop a like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know something you're going to work on and how you're going to work on it. And have a great rest of your weekend. See you Wednesday. As always, be kind to yourself.